my definition of success, unlike my parents or the people around me, has very little to do with the primary concept of the US, which is just work,
Mhm.
work, 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 and then we can enjoy.
Welcome to the Crossing It Off podcast, where we believe living with intention through a bucket list lifestyle is a great way to bring yourself personal joy. As you are crossing items off your list, you're actually filling up your bucket. The more items you cross off, the more joy gets added, until eventually your joy spills over into the lives of those around you. Now let's start crossing it off together. How can you use your bucket list when you recognize that your life is not where you want it to be? Today's bucket list storyteller did just that. Realizing that she wasn't in a good place, her health wasn't the greatest, she put on her bucket list to do something that could be considered pretty scary, but it turned out everything that she could hope for her life and the transformation of it. Let's start crossing it off. Our guest is Alejandra Rojas, and she describes herself as an entrepreneur, podcaster, experience seeker, and traveler. Alejandra, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so what is it that you crossed off your bucket list?
Well, I lived in New Zealand.
Okay, so let's go back. Tell us where you were before you moved to New Zealand and why New Zealand.
Yeah, well, I was living in the United States. I'm originally from Colombia. I already had, a move from countries to live in the United States, but I was in a very undesirable position with my profession. I was kind of stuck on my life. I was dealing with a money burned out, and that was ironic for me because I'm a finance professional, and it was a lot going on my life. And you know how you see these pictures of amazing New Zealand, all
Mm-hmm.
nature, all like I mean best landscapes that you can imagine. And then I was reading through a magazine. I was like, that would be nice to live there. I didn't have the desire like other people that are really into New Zealand have, but it really caught my eye, those landscapes and everything. So and for some reason, every time that I would see something about New Zealand, I would feel a sense of peace, a
Hmm.
sense of, oh, I want to be there. So I put it on my bucket list more than just the place. It was for the sense of what I wanted to feel at that moment. So I said, this is the way I want to feel, and I'm gonna go there because that's the place that will allow me to feel the way I want to feel.
So describe that for us. What is that feeling? What was the thing that you desired that
Yeah.
spoke to you through New Zealand?
Yeah, so because I was going through my own burnt out, as I study finances, I love finances. Numbers are my love language. I did the quote unquote all the right things.
Mm.
Ended up having a great job in the US. I was quote unquote the successful person, right, for everybody around me, and it I was not fulfilling myself. In fact, at the point when I recognized that I had a burned out, I was already vomiting. I was going to bed crying all the time, and it was just a hot mess, right? And I just didn't see how by staying at the same place I was going to be different, because this was not something about situations that like something happened in a specific situation
Mhm.
so it was gonna get fixed. It was my entire being. It was just like I'm trapped. So when I was looking through the magazines, I was at the moment, looking for escapes, how I'm gonna change my life around. When I was looking through the magazines, it was this feeling of I can be free. Like this is what these landscapes really transmits to me. Like going to a country where nobody cares if you walk into the supermarket barefoot. Like what? I mean, that's the Kiwi life. We work, but we also take care of ourselves. So every time that I will look something about New Zealand, I will look at like the culture, Maori culture, just wrap my head around it. It's like how one country was able to survive, like colonizers and
Mm,
indigenous people made an agreement, and it was just everything was speaking to me as this is the place where you are allowed to be whoever you want to be, regardless of the labels, regardless if you are successful or not, regardless if you are dressed up for an office or not, or whatever it is. This is the place where if you want to today be a billionaire, but still go and walk barefoot to the supermarket and then head the pub to get beers with your colleagues, you are not less or more than anybody. You're just a human being. That was the feeling that really pushed me to put it on my bucket list and go for it.
okay, so I need to go back a little ways because everything you've described right then in that in those sentences really speaks to how some people would say, "Oh, well, why didn't you not find that in America? You came from Colombia, and then you came to the U.S., and now all of a sudden you're not a." Did you not experience
Yeah.
some that same thing? What do you think the difference was in those two journeys, in those two transitions? That now you can say, okay, New Zealand's it. And I'm American, so I'm trying to figure this out. And as many of my listeners are would be too. But please tell us, what is it that was different in those two transitions from places?
Yes, I think everything comes down to my own definition of success.
Hmm.
And that was when I really could see the difference, not only the place, but the person that I was allowing myself to be on the different places. My definition of success, unlike my parents or the people around me, has very little to do with the primary concept of the US, which is just work,
Mm-hmm.
work, 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 and then we can enjoy. Because when I was a little kid, I suffered a health immune system condition. I do value and appreciate time and my life here because I know how privileged I am to be alive. It was not, my life was, I don't take my life for granted.
Mm.
So this success meaning was just not there. And I felt that with everybody that I came across, when I was being that person that was leading all her actions through the definition of success from somebody else, that person couldn't find anything in the
Wow.
United States. So although afterwards I came back, it's a different total. It has nothing to do with the place, but the person that I was allowing myself to be. So I think that's the core. Was the core to me, my definition of success, and the way that I understood that, yeah, United States is great to work, to get your, like, I don't know, get your assets together. There is a lot of opportunities, and like many people say, there is always a way to do things in United States. But to me, what was most important for me was to really get to enjoy the time, not work per se, or not work for the future, but really be with
Mm.
me here and in the future. And that was something that was really, like, took me a long time to understand, because just like you did the question, I did the question to myself too, like, what happened there? But that was really something that took time for me to understand. But it was more, how as a collective we get certain social rules. Those
Right.
rules in the US is more like, if you are being quote unquote lazy, you're not gonna get to the point that you should be at a certain age. It doesn't matter how you feel right now. I mean, when I made the decision to put New Zealand on my bucket list, I was in a burnout. I was like vomiting. I couldn't be more sick. I was
Yeah.
literally trading my life for whatever the definition of success of somebody else was. So at that moment, I had to really face myself and say, listen, you know how privileged you are to be living here because the doctors didn't give you past 6 years old. You know that every day that you have here on this earth is like, oh, I am like I can make something out of this day, right?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like, why are you putting yourself through this? What if you just go and explore, and why not to do it in a place that just breathe and reflects freedom and the way that you want to feel? Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. So that takes us really to this point of you see the magazines, you're kind of fed up with how you've been living. You make that choice to say, okay, I'm going to move to another country again. What was that process like for you? What time frame was it? Like, when did you make that choice, and how did you go through the process of actually getting to move from the US to New Zealand?
Yeah, it's I need to say this disclaimer. It is very easy for me to move countries. I know this is hard for some people, but I just get so excited to travel and to be in a new place that I just pack my bags and I'm gone. So,
Yeah, that's good. But you
from
still went but you still went through a process, right? You still had to do things.
yes,
What
yeah,
are those things that you
yes.
did to make that happen?
Yeah, so for with that disclaimer, I needed to look for, I mean, visa process and ways to arrive to New Zealand, especially because my Colombian passport, so it was a bit more difficult. But I started to look for opportunities in in my field to study things that had to do with my field. I wanted to continue studying more, and on that um, process of looking things, I found out an scholarship. So there was a scholarship process open to study business innovation. I applied. They granted me the scholarship, and I was like, okay, this is like going the way that it's supposed to go. And within what, 2 months? So when I was fed up was June. I started to look for scholarships or ways to get to New Zealand. Um, June, July, I applied for the scholarship in August, and then by September, I was granted the scholarship. And I just needed to, get the paperwork for the visa together, which I did September, October. By first week of November, I was flying out from United States to New Zealand.
Here at the Crossing It Off podcast, we are passionate about inspiring you in your bucket list lifestyle and empowering you to live out your list. We offer many resources to assist you in your bucket list journey, such as web resources in the show notes, bucket list mentoring services, my book Live Out Your Lists, a private Facebook group for you to share your bucket list success stories with others, and more. All of these can be found at crossingitoffpodcast.com. Find the resource that fits your need so that you can live out your list. Now back to the show. So a lot of us in the United States, we have this, when we move, we have to, get the largest U-Haul imaginable and drive it someplace with all of our stuff in it. How was that for you? Did you sell everything? Did you?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I sold my whole apartment. At that time, you still could take 2 bags of 23 kilos to New Zealand. That's like 50 pounds. So whatever it
Wow,
fitted
that's not
on
a lot.
those bags.
That is, I'll say that's not a lot. I traveled in Europe for 3 months, and my suitcase weighed 50 pounds. So that's
Yeah,
not. I mean, I was
yeah.
expecting to bring it all home, and that's, I mean, that's not a lot.
It is not a lot. It is not a lot, but I was so excited. And also I was thinking, well, I'm gonna be in literally the other side of the world. Like,
Yeah.
why I'm going to be worried right now to bring this stuff if nothing is gonna work there? Like, no electronics is gonna work because it's just a different thing. So I really got to the point of fitting whatever I needed on those two bags. I sold everything. I sold my whole like the whole furniture apartment, ended contracts. And yeah, I just went for it. I'm not gonna say it was easy because it was a lot of fear.
Hmm.
Um, on you are traveling, you don't know what the hell are you gonna do, but they really the vision of being there, of finding myself again, of kind of like breathing again, like, phew, nobody here knows me. I can kind of start from zero on the right foot. I don't have to be worrying about what mom, dad, X, Y, or Z are gonna say. So let's do it right. That feeling got me through a lot of the downsides because, of course, it's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of things that you need to fix on your mind. Like you say, it's selling the stuff, getting all the things that I couldn't sell to donation, getting like the logistic steps were there definitely, but at the end of the day, the bigger picture was like, we are gonna make this work.
So you get there and you settle in and you start your studying and all that. What were some of the things in New Zealand that brought that joy back to you, or gave you that breath of fresh air? What were the things? Was it the place? Was it the people? And describe those things to us.
Yeah, it was first the place. As you arrive to New Zealand, if you arrive to Auckland, which is the capital, when you arrive to Auckland, the airport is something. I think that was the first thing that told me you are in the right place, because you will see the Maori statues and everything is on kind of written in Maori and English, and I'm like, what? Like, I
Mhm.
come from a country that speaks 114 different indigenous languages, and I have no idea how to speak or how to say hi on one of them. And I come here and airports are written and everybody talks in like in those two languages. That's mind blowing.
Mm.
And then when you get outside of the airport and you just see the spaciness, and I had my first house, first Airbnb, was in a beautiful place that was in between the mountains and the beach. So I'm like, I couldn't ask for a better start. It was waking up with the birds, and it was just such a sense of calmness and peace, and a lot less running through the days. It was a lot more of mindfulness.
So you go there. Do you know people in advance, or you don't? You said you start. It was a chance to start over. Did you know anyone? Like I know. I mean, if I had to go to New Zealand tomorrow, I would know at least two people I know that I could, rely on to help me out, right? But but
Yeah.
did you have that? Did you have any infrastructure there?
So I went with my partner at the time, so that was the only person I knew. And well, it was the first time going to New Zealand for both of us.
Hmm.
So we didn't know anybody. I want to say I'm pretty good at making friends. So I had a couple of conversations before with somebody, and she said, one of those people say, you know what, when you are in New Zealand, just ring me up, and we go and explore, and I did, but pretty much was just starting from zero scratch, like new place, no, like literally knew everything.
So, what did your family members say to you when you said, "I'm going to do this. It's on my bucket list. I'm just going to go do it"? What was their response to you, and how did you handle that and respond to them back?
Uh, that's a very good question. So the first reaction was like, what? What is even New Zealand? Like where is even that? It's somewhere there near Australia or something like that. So the reaction was not it wasn't very supported at first, although I had a lot of support from my mother, but in general wasn't very supportive.
Mhm.
But it kind of it puts you in a difficult position because it's already an unknown. Your mind is already thinking, you are making a mistake. Why are you walking away from all the security? Look, it's kind of like the battling in your head. And then you have your family that is like really thinking, well, or telling you, well, you shouldn't go there. Look how far it is. It's 32 hours flight. What if you cannot find anything? Like what if you in the first week it doesn't go well, you cannot return, and all of these caution talks. And I need to say that at some point I thought, yeah, this is a bad idea. I'm not gonna do it. But then I I came back to one of those days where I was feeling very down, and I talked to myself and I say, you either do it or you don't. But this is something that needs to stop. Like if you are going to not do it, then stop this and put up with it like a grown ass person, or you take the decision and you go for it and you see what happens. I mean, you can always come back to your house. So the way I deal with those conversations after that moment was like, I hear you, but that's okay. I will figure it out. Like, I hear you, I love you, but I will
Mhm.
figure it out. It was a very harsh boundary that I had to draw. Otherwise, I would have never gone.
You went there, you lived, you adjusted and made it work for yourself and got that joy back. Overall, what was the one thing that you might take away from your experience to say this is what transformed inside of me by crossing this
Oh,
off my bucket list?
yeah. Listen, everything transformed in that jump. Not only because I found my true self and voice. I was telling you my podcast, I'm a podcaster as well. So my podcast was born in New Zealand because I found my voice. I wanted
Wow.
to do a podcast for such a long time and I couldn't. I was like, what would I even say? Why people will want to hear me? And I couldn't. So being there, I found my voice. I started my own business. Because of it too, I saw differently. I saw more examples of this relaxed entrepreneurship.
Mm.
As a finance person, people may think, oh, you are in heels and suits and all the time, and that's what I was accustomed in corporate finance. But I couldn't be more relaxed. I'm like right now I'm in a hoodie with my sneakers. Like I don't care. Like that this is not like this is who I am. And I still get to transform people's life. I still get to have a voice. I still get to make money and have my business. And it has nothing to do with how I look. That was something that I found from again this ridiculous example, but I love it, of walking barefoot at the supermarket.
No, I love
It
that.
just it just broke my standards to really get down to the essence. So crossing that from my bucket list was one, it allowed me to really find myself, my voice, and everything that I just said. But two, also show me that whatever I put on my bucket list, I'm gonna get it. It doesn't matter how scary or far away it may look. If I could have if I could travel to New Zealand in a matter of less than 6 months, as I did, I can do anything. I went to live in a country where I did not know much about, and just lived for around 2.5 years there, and I'm coming back hopefully soon, and I survived, and I'm safe, and it's good, and it was the best experience. So what else can I get? Like just bring
Mhm.
it on. Really is that. that fire behind of trusting yourself and following through your desires and your well-being.
That's amazing. You've had this experience kind of twice, although you said the New Zealand experience was on your bucket list. If you were having a conversation with somebody in a cafe someplace and they said, "I've been thinking about moving to Ireland or Zimbabwe or Israel or whatever it would be," what advice would you give them as far as leaving one place and assimilating yourself into a culture somewhere else? What would be the one thing you would say? You got to do X. What is X?
Yeah, first of all, dude, if you're thinking about that, do it. Like it doesn't matter what, just do it. Because your life is gonna change a lot just from adapting. Now, the advice that I'm gonna give is first, really lay down the reasons why you want to go to another
Mm-hmm.
place. Fall in love with those reasons because that is the fire that is gonna help you to go through everything that is gonna raise after you make the decision. Adapting to a culture can be very easy if you just drop all your standards.
Mm.
Not everybody has to do the way that you think things should go. Not everybody's accustomed to the way that you do things. And it's gonna be a hard time for you. You're gonna have a hard time adapting if you believe that the same kind of beliefs, thoughts, ideas, habits, and everything that got you through in the place that you are right now are gonna help you in the place that you want to go. It's just a different culture, different way of living, and you should be open to embrace that. The more open that you are, the faster that you will adapt, and your experience is gonna be better for sure.
Yeah, I love all that. It's amazing stuff, and I appreciate you saying it. Alejandro, what is something else that you want to cross off your bucket list?
I want to create the first financial academy for free for Colombians, and I'm working
Hmm.
on that.
Ah, so that would be like you would go back and teach that, or you would do it online, or and what would be is it just financial freedom, or is
Yeah.
there another goal you have for folks?
Um, it is going to be about money mindset, financial freedom, especially for women in New Zealand, especially for women in Colombia. And it's I'm still working the details. It may be a hybrid, it may be online, but I just know that I want to create an institution where women can get a different approach to money and therefore to their dreams. That's what my focus is as a professional. I focus on money mindset, leveling up, and emotional regulation with money. So I want to create an institution where women in Colombia can go and see differently so that
Hmm.
they can know that they can do differently.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a great example of that, I'm sure. And
Thank you.
I wish you all the success with that. That's amazing. Where can we find more information about you online?
The best place to find me is in on Instagram at Money Mindset Expert. You can find me there, or you can really just go to my website and you will see everything that is happening. TheMoneyMindsetHub.com. It's a wonderful place to send me an email or just look through the programs that I'm offering.
Awesome. Alejandro, thank you so much for being here. This has been awesome. I love everything that you said, and I look
Thank,
forward to seeing how your institute grows and the impact it'll have on folks. Thanks for being here.
thank you so much.